bus arrived in silence at an old terminal. No destination. No driver in sight. 7 people stepped on board. None of them knew. This bus was never meant to return. It only goes one way, to hell. It was close to midnight. The old bus terminal stood silent at the edge of a forgotten town, surrounded by dense forest and swallowed by thick fog that crept along the ground like something alive. The flickering lights barely illuminated the cracked pavement and rusted metal benches. Most people didn't even remember this terminal existed yet. Somehow, 7 people found their way there. From the darkness, an old bus emerged. Its headlights glowed dimly, and the engine barely made a sound. The bus looked ancient, rusted sides, dirty windows, and a route sign that showed no destination. 7 passengers stood waiting. A weary salesman clutched his briefcase. A teenage girl with headphones tapped nervously on her phone. An elderly woman held her rosary tightly. A quiet couple stood close, whispering. A hooded man looked down, hands in his pockets, and a student with a backpack scanned the area, confused. None of them spoke. None of them questioned why there was no driver. The doors creaked open, one by one. They stepped inside. As they found their seats, the dim interior lights flickered. The air was heavy cold, with a faint smell of dust and metal. Then the door shut with a hiss behind them. The bus started to move, slowly at first, then gaining speed as it disappeared into the fog-covered road ahead. Still, no one said a word. At the back, the student pulled out his phone. No signal, no clock, just a single notification glowing on his screen. You are now entering the final route. He looked around. The others sat silently, eyes forward, as if hypnotized. The bus window beside him showed nothing but endless fog, thick and white, swallowing the road and the world outside. He turned to the man across the aisle. "Did you get any signal?" he asked. No response. The man didn't even blink. The student frowned. He stood up and moved toward the front of the bus. "Excuse me, is there a driver?" he called. Still no answer. He reached the front only to find the driver's seat empty. The wheel turned slightly on its own. As if guided by invisible hands, the bus moved with purpose, but no one was steering it. Heart pounding, the student backed away. This can't be right. Suddenly, the lights inside the bus dimmed further. A cold wind blew through the aisle. Though all the windows were shut, the teenage girl with headphones lifted her head. Her eyes were wide now, terrified. "I didn't buy a ticket," she whispered. The old woman clutched her rosary tighter, her lips moving silently in prayer. A low hum began to rise, like the sound of distant chanting echoing from the very walls of the bus. And then the route sign above the windshield began to flicker. At first, it was blank. Then blood-red letters appeared, letter by letter. Final destination, hell. As the red letters, final destination, hell, flickered above the windshield, a suffocating silence filled the bus. The girl with the headphones clutched the seat in front of her, her hands trembling. Her music was off now, her eyes wide with terror. Suddenly, a whisper echoed through the air, soft, cold, and unmistakably real. "Confess before it's too late." The voice didn't come from any of the passengers. It came from everywhere beneath the floorboards, through the vents, between the seats, and inside their heads. The student turned sharply to the window beside him, but the reflection he saw wasn't his own. It was him screaming, crying, on his knees surrounded by flames. He jerked back, gasping. The others began to panic. One man stood up and banged on the window. "Let me out. I didn't do anything. Let me out." But the door wouldn't open. The bus didn't stop, and the fog outside grew thicker, now glowing faintly red. Then, with a sharp jolt, the lights above flickered and one of the passengers was gone. Just like that, vanished into thin air. The seat was empty. Just seconds ago, a man had been sitting there screaming, begging to be let out. Now, nothing remained, not even his bag. The passengers were frozen in disbelief. "What the hell is happening?" someone whispered, voice trembling. The bus kept moving, engine humming like a heart that refused to stop. Outside, the glowing red fog thickened, now pressing against the windows like it was alive. Suddenly, the loudspeakers crackled. A voice deep, slow, and emotionless spoke. "One down, 6 remain." The girl with the hoodie stood up, shaking. "This is some kind of sick game." She said, "We need to figure out what's going on." Then the voice returned, softer now, whispering from nowhere and everywhere, "Only truth shall grant you mercy." The student clenched his fists. His eyes darted around the bus, then fell to the empty seat once more. "I think," he said slowly, "we're being judged." The others turned to him. "For what?" asked the old woman near the back. He hesitated. "Our sins." No one spoke for a long moment until the girl in the hoodie laughed nervously. "That's insane. What kind of sins?" The lights flickered again. Suddenly, another seat was empty. A soft sob echoed from the back, and once again, the voice whispered, "Confess or vanish." Another passenger gone. No scream, no struggle, just gone. The remaining passengers were now 5. Fear turned to chaos. The old woman began to pray under her breath. The man in the business suit pounded the bus door, yelling curses. The girl in the hoodie backed herself into a corner, eyes darting in every direction. The student stood still, breathing heavily. His words echoed in the others' minds. "We're being judged." Suddenly, a low hum filled the bus. The floor trembled gently. Then, without warning, the screens above each seat lit up, displaying black and white video clips. Every screen showed something different. The passengers watched in horror. One screen showed the businessman angrily shouting at someone, then hitting them with his car and driving away. Another screen showed the old woman slipping something into a teacup. A younger woman collapsing moments later. The girl in the hoodie screamed, "This isn't real. This isn't." The lights dimmed. The bus slowed down, not stopping, but crawling forward. Then the businessman vanished, his seat empty. Only 4 remained. The voice returned, "Truth is the toll. Confess or burn." The confession had changed something. The bus grew quieter, but the air grew colder. The fog outside was now so thick, it looked like waves crashing against invisible walls. The red glow faded to black, and a mirror appeared where the front window had been. But it wasn't a reflection of the bus interior. It was a corridor, dark and long, with doors on either side, each marked with names. Kira's name was on the closest door. She gasped, "That's my name." The boy looked at her, then at the others. "I think this is it. We're being shown the path to our final judgment." The voice returned, echoing softly through the bus. "Choose the truth, or the mirror chooses for you." Then Kira's door creaked open on its own, revealing a shadowy figure inside, a young girl, identical to Kira, but her face was twisted in sorrow. "You left me," the figure said, "when I needed you most." Kira stepped back, trembling. "That's not true. I didn't mean to." The bus jolted violently. Suddenly, Kira's seat was empty. Only 2 remained. The boy and the quiet girl in the back. The mirror rippled again, and 2 doors appeared, one with his name, one with hers. Only 2 passengers remained, the boy Raffi and the silent girl who hadn't spoken since the journey began. Now, both of their names shimmered on the 2 remaining doors within the mirror at the front of the bus. The fog outside throbbed like a living thing. The bus no longer moved, suspended in some void beyond the world they knew. Raffi looked at the girl. "You've been quiet this whole time," he said. "Why are you here?" The girl looked up. Her eyes were red, but not from crying. She finally spoke, her voice flat and strange. "I never left this bus." Raffi blinked. "What?" She stared at him. "I died here a year ago." Suddenly, fragments of memories surged into Raffi's mind. News reports, Stories of a lost bus that never made it to its destination. The number matched. The route was the same. This was the cursed route. The girl stood. I didn't confess. I didn't face what I did, so I became part of the bus. Her voice cracked. If you don't face your door, you'll stay here too. Raffi turned toward the mirror. The door with his name creaked open, revealing a dark room, and his younger self, weeping over a phone, ignoring messages, ignoring a cry for help from his best friend the night he took his own life. The weight crashed on him again. I should have answered. Tears ran down his face. The voice returned, softer than ever. Then say it. Raffi took a breath. I'm sorry. I should have been there. I should have listened. The mirror pulls. Then light. The light from Raffi's door was warm, blinding, and unlike anything the boss had shown before. He stepped forward into the room, his room. From years ago, photos of friends, his guitar, and on the desk, the last message from his best friend. Are you there? Raffi whispered, I'm here now. The message vanished. The shadows in the room melted away, replaced by golden mist. His chest felt lighter for the first time since this journey began. He could breathe. Behind him, the bus began to disintegrate slowly, piece by piece, as if it was no longer needed. He turned to look back. Only the girl remained, standing still inside the fading bus. Aren't you coming? He asked. She shook her head. I can't. I never confessed. The floor beneath her began to darken. Chains of shadow slithered up from below, wrapping around her legs. She looked at Raffi, eyes full of silent pain. Remember me, please. And with that, she was gone. Raffi woke up, not in his bed, not in heaven, but inside an ambulance. Voices around him shouted, he's alive. We found one. He blinked, seeing flashing red lights, soaked earth, and a crushed bus nearby at the edge of a cliff. He had survived, or had he? Later, the investigators would say the bus lost control on the mountain pass and fell into the ravine. All passengers presumed dead. Only one recovered, Raffi. But he remembered everything, the judgment, the confessions, the doors, the girl, and as he stood days later at the crash site, flowers and candles lined along the edge, he whispered a prayer. Then he turned and swore he saw a figure watching from the fog, a girl in a school uniform, expressionless, faceless, then gone. The final route never really ends. It waits for the next confession.